Hi, Algebra 1. I wanted to go through the homework from the packet I gave you guys yesterday. Again, if you don't have the packet, it is on Schoology, and you can print it off or get a copy from me. I wanted you to do 1 through 12, and this is worth points, so make sure you have it done. So the first problem, some of these might have been already done. So we want to find the slope. So remember, I'm going to say x1, y1, x2, y2. And then my slope equation is this, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Remember, I could have had this x2, y2, x1, y1, and it's still going to stay the same, so don't worry. So y2, y1, I had the double negative, so I have to make sure I deal with that. And so this is going to become a plus sign. So 3 plus 5 is 8 over 4, which gives us 2 over 1. So we can go ahead and say we have a slope of 2. Problem number 2, we have 0, 5 and 6, 2. Sometimes when a 0 pops up, people think, oh no, this is bad. No, use 0 just like a number. Okay, it is a number. So my slope equation, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I'm going to get negative 3 over 6. Go ahead and reduce that to negative 1/2 and just leave that. That's our slope. For problem number 3, we have 4, 5 and we have 4, 7. So x1, y1, x2, y2. So I have my slope equation is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And you might notice the bottom becomes 0. So being this is under, that means that my slope is undefined. And if I had looked at what kind of line this is, it would have actually been a vertical line. Okay. Number 4, we have 2, 6 and negative 3, 6. So I got x1, y1, x2, y2. So my slope equation is going to be y2 minus y1, negative 3 minus 2. So I get 0 over negative 5. So this is on top. When it's on top, that means my slope is 0. So this would actually be a horizontal line. Okay, number 5. We have our grid, x and y. So we can do this one of two ways. 0, 1, 2, and 3. So notice our x values, that's a positive one. Sorry about that. Looks like we add 3, add 3, add 3. Here we add 1, add 1, add 1. That's good. We have a pattern that we see. So remember, slope is also the change in y over the change in x. So this is the change in y, which is 1. This is the change in x, which is 3. So our slope is 1/3. Problem number 6, we have this graph drawn, and they gave us this point here and this point here. So this would have been negative 2, 3, and this would be 1, negative 1. So we can count down. We can go down 1, 2, 3, 4. So it went down 4, and I went right 1, 1, 2, 3. So our slope to this is negative 4 over 3. Okay, talked about writing the equation. So we're going to figure out slope-intercept form. So remember, this is slope-intercept form. Looks like this. So problem number 7, x, y. First thing you're looking for is, do I have a 0 in the x spot? And the answer is yes. There's 0 here. This is our b value right away. So far with this equation, I would know y equals mx minus 5. And if I wanted to find my slope, I could say, oh, well, I add 1 each time here. Here I add 3. So I have a pattern. So remember, slope is the change in y over the change in x. So this is the change in y. This is the change in x. So my slope to this is going to be 3 over 1. 3 over 1, excuse me, which is just 3. So I'm going to take that 3, plug it in there. So my equation is y equals 3x minus 5. Number 8, again, we have a pattern, or we have a table given. So I got 10, 20, 30. I have 30, 25, and 20. Okay, I don't have a 0 term, but can I find the 0 term? Well, I'm adding 10 each time here. and I'm subtracting 5 here. Okay, so I know my slope, this is the change in y, this is the change in x. So my slope is the change in y over the change in x. So that's going to be negative 5 over 10, which will reduce to negative 1 over 2. And then, do I have a 0 value? Well, what if I went back this way? Do I get to 0? And the answer is yes. What if I added 5 going this way? And that would take me to 35. So that's my b term. So now I can plug right into my equation. My m that I found is negative 1/2, and my b value, which is 35. That's my equation. Number 9, they tell us the slope is 2, and the y-intercept is negative 7. So that's my b value right there. And that's my slope, obviously. So I can just plug right into the equation, directly plug it in. So I get y equals 2x minus 7. Number 10, they gave us the b value. There's our y-intercept, and the m value. So directly plug those into this equation, and you're going to get it to work out nicely. There's my equation. There's not a lot of work to do with those. Number 11, they said the slope is equal to 3 over 5, and it goes through point 0, negative 2. Now remember, I said if there's a 0 here, that has to be my b value. Okay, so my b value is negative 2. So I just plug that directly into y equals mx plus b. So I have y equals 3 over 5x minus 2, and it's done. And then problem number 12, we have a slope of 2 over 3, and we have 0, negative 4. Again, remember, if there's a 0 there, that's my b value then. Okay, so I can just plug those directly into this equation. So I get y equals 2/3 x minus 4. And we're done with the homework assignment. Okay, so for the rest of the packet, we're going to focus on, I would like you to do 13 through 16, okay, on that backside. But let's talk about something called point slope. Point slope, okay, which is, this is the equation. That's our point slope. Now, sometimes we might modify this point slope. In fact, in this lesson, it'll be done this way. Notice this is a minus y1, so I'm going to put a plus y1 over here. Okay, so we got to keep that in mind when we start working these problems. So we take a look at the example. We have negative 3, 1, 5, and we have 10, 7, and 4. This is our x value. This is our y value. So we add 4 each time here. And then we subtract 3 here. So this is the change in y. This is the change in x. So remember, the change in y over the change in x is the slope. So I get negative 3 over 4. That's my slope. We're going to keep that for a moment. But now we want to figure out what we can do to get the rest of our equation. Well, I can't really get to 0. I don't see 0 happening in here. I mean, 0 happens somewhere in here, right? But I can't find it real easily. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select one of the points. I'll just pick that one. I'm going to call this x1, and I'm going to call this y1. So we're going to plug it in. So my slope equation, or my point slope equation, is this, which I'm going to modify to look like this. Okay, so let's plug in things we know. Slope is negative 3/4. X minus x1 is negative 3. And then y1 is 10. Okay, so we're going to clean this up a little bit, make that a plus sign. So my point slope form looks like this. And we're just done looking at that right now. We don't have to do anything else to it, okay? So that's our situation. So again, looking at the other example, we have this. So our starting point is going to be x1 and y1, okay? Now, I want you to see something. This was a minus x1 here. It's a positive 1 here. Anytime you pull out something in math and it's in parentheses, you change the sign. This, because it's moved over here, that sign stays the same. Okay, meaning if it was negative, it comes out positive from parentheses. If it was positive, it comes out negative from parentheses. Okay, so what I'd like you to work on is, so make sure 13 through 16 is done on the previous page. And then I'd also like you to work on 1 through 15. And what I'll do is you're going to get points for this. So by the end of the period, we're going to make sure we go through it and cover the answers. And if you need any help working those problems, please ask me, and I'm happy to help you. So that is all I have for you. I hope you have a nice day and also have a great fall break.